Hey guys, Scott from phasingplayer.com here today to talk a little bit about my board game collection. I figure I'm not doing anything right now. Why not go over every game I own and review the boxes that the games are packed up in? No real order to this, no real occasion. Just figure, hey, it's a nice sunny day, why not stay inside and record a video about board games? So without further ado, let's start going through this. I guess, well, one more ado. I will say, these are not really in any order. I don't have my game collection organized in any real way. Some segments are sort of thematically similar, same publisher, maybe a similar theme of game, but it's here and there, not a rule. Mostly I put stuff where it fits. So anyway, now, without further ado, let's go ahead and start looking at some games. Okay, one more ado. I am rating these on a 5-point scale, going from 1 star up to 4.5 stars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5. That's the standard 5-point scale that I like to use. First thing we're going to look at here are these games, these Splotter games. This is a section that I do have a little bit organized. I have them in order of original release, -1 because it doesn't fit on this shelf, but we'll get to that one later. So we've got Bus, Khan, Antiquity, Indonesia, Duck Dealer, The Great Zimbabwe, Food Chain Magnate, and the expansion for Food Chain Magnate. It's the order that they came out in. I don't have every Splotter game. I do have, like I said, one other that we'll talk about when I get to it. Just doesn't fit on this shelf. I like all of these games except Duck Dealer, which I haven't played. I don't dislike Duck Dealer, I just have not played Duck Dealer. But it does have, maybe of all of my games, the best box art. This is tremendous box art. It attracted me to the game. You got the guy over on the side here. You got the titular Duck Dealer right in the middle riding a spaceship. You've got money flying out, some paint, a spaceship over here, a satellite rather over here, a spaceship in the background. It's a very good piece of art. Really nice. I'd hang it on my wall if I could get a larger copy of it. I haven't played it though. And I'll use this as an example as well of Splotter's boxes because they're all basically the same. They have nothing on the back most typically, and they come in this sort of standard size, which I'll say, I don't want to start the show with a showstopper, but between this box art and this general box size for Splotter's titles, this is really good. This is my favorite box size, I think. This is easily a 4.5. This is easily, all of these Splotter titles, just about all these Splotter titles, are going to be a 4.5. for box score. Bus, Antiquity. Antiquity's a little bit larger, as you can see, a little bit. It's the same like height and same width, but it's a little bit taller, a little greater depth than these other ones. And it's okay. There's more stuff in here, so it needs to fit it. And it'll also retain that very, very respectable 4.5 out of 4.5 score. Best of the best for these Splotter boxes. There is one Splotter box that is an exception though, and that is Khan. Khan has a back on this box, which is a very rare thing for Splotter titles. It's got a front and a back. Same box dimensions otherwise. Everything fits very comfortably in all these boxes, which I like. Don't want too much space. Some of them are a little tight, but it's fine. So 4.5 for Bus, Antiquity, Indonesia, Duck Dealer, Great Zimbabwe, Food Chain Magnate, and Food Chain Magnate Expansion, 4.5 out of 4.5, the best of the best. Khan gets a 5 out of 4.5, making it better than the best. Greater than great, we'll say. So those are all these Splotters. Then, over here next to this, we've got a bit of an outlier, just kind of fits over here nicely, and that's Ferox from Craft Fair Games. This is a 2-player game. 2-player game based on the Italian cannibal subgenre of horror films, 1970s cannibal films out of Italy. This recreates some of that imagery, some of that vibe, and it is a game from, I believe, 2 people at Craft Fair. They pack the games themselves, they sticker everything themselves. It's a neat game, and I like it. It is not available at the moment as a retail product. You can get it, however, as a print and play, and it's pretty much just cards, some cubes, and standard dice with stickers slapped on them. So you can definitely make a print and play of this relatively easily, and I'd recommend it. As far as the box itself goes, I'm actually, I'm of two minds on this one. I like the art. I like the sort of vibe of the whole thing. I like the adults only horror stickers on the top. Good touch. However, the box itself, it's basically a mailer. See, it just kind of opens like this. It's got the stuff packed in it. It sits all right. It goes with a nice vibe of the DIY feeling that Craft Fair has, but as like a usable game box, it feels a little funny. It's got a Be Kind Rewind sticker on the bottom. So I'm gonna give it. I tend to rate things a little harshly. I think I'm not super positive. Like as a rule, if I'm split between things, I usually don't lean positive. If it's like right in the middle, I'll go like one down. You have to impress me, I think. This is like between a 2 and a 3. And we don't do half points on the scale of 1 to 4.5. So we're gonna round down and call this a 2 out of 4.5. It's not terrible, but I don't know if I'd say I like this box. And I guess while we're talking Craft Fair, I have their other title right here, Trash Lords. Very small box, I will say. I give favoritism to small boxes. It's got a sticker plastered on the back explaining the game a little bit, and otherwise it's just stamped with the logos and other information about this game. Similar to Ferox, it opens. It's just a little mailer that you'd mail stuff in. Again, not like a purpose-built game box. This is a competitive or cooperative game. You're playing a bunch of crust punks, and you're trying to collect beer and drugs and snacks, and appease a dead possum, the Trash Lord, and you are trying to become sort of the one true Trash Lord. There's also a cooperative expansion included in this that is you're playing as the Crusties, and you're trying to take down a bunch of fascists. Instead of competing against each other, you are trying to destroy these fascists. It's a fun little game. Might bring it to the channel at some point. Do a little stream ski of this one. As far as the box goes, I'm also going to give this. It's a little closer to a 3 than Ferox because it's small. But again, rounding down here, we're going to call this a 2 out of 4.5. So, not a great showing from Craft Fair, but it could be worse. It could certainly be worse. All right, so up next here, we've got my little collection of Eon games. Eon, most famous probably for putting out Cosmic Encounter, and the same designers through Avalon Hill putting out Dune. And I collect their games. I like Eon as a company. I think that they are super innovative. They are ahead of their time in a lot of ways. They've done a lot of really cool, unique games in the 70s and 80s. And I have a handful of them. I have almost all of them. I think I'm missing like 2. So we've got Dark Over, which I believe is the game they put out after Cosmic Encounter. This is based on an IP, a series of books, I believe. I've never read them, not really familiar. Dark Over is a funny game. I've not played it, but it has a lot of like above the table sort of player interaction. It's like a fantasy sort of combat strategy game. And it has you do things like participate in staring contests or try to make the other player laugh. They're called like psychic contests or psychic duels. And it's like between the two players, like their own personal abilities to do things instead of just game mechanics. It sounds like a hoot. It also sounds super busted and broken, and I'm sure you need the right crowd for it. Then you've got Runes. It's a very, very kind of... It's hard to see maybe, but this is a very like squished box. Runes is a word game in which instead of just trying to spell words with letters, you're trying to build letters, like figure out the letters in the word, like the design of the letter. It is sort of like Hangman. You're given like pieces of that could be put together to make letters, and then you have to figure out what the letters are in like secret words. Haven't played this one yet either. Then you got Borderlands. So Borderlands shares a little bit in common with Catan. It has some similar mechanics. I got Oliver over here saying hello. Hi, Oliver. Yeah, buddy. I haven't played Borderlands yet either. It is sort of it's got a fun little cartoon on the back about it. It's got negotiation. It's got like resources that I think you generate when you roll certain dice numbers. It's got a bunch of systems in it. I have not yet played Borderlands though. And then their sort of claim to fame, their biggest, most enduring game. Here's the original box for Cosmic Encounter. Cosmic Encounter. I have all 9 expansions in here. It's very stuffed. It barely fits everything in here, but it does fit. Look at that. Not really box lid either, lift lid. So it's very stuffed, packed very specifically, but it does fit in here. And those are their standard boxes, standard Eon boxes. They also made a big box version of Cosmic Encounter. It's the same, again, kind of like Antiquity with Splotter. It's a similar dimensions, but much thicker. This is sort of my player's copy of Cosmic. When I want to play the game, this is the one I use. The components are in worse condition, the box is in worse condition, but everything fits in a little easier, and I don't mind opening it and closing it a bunch. So I didn't explain Cosmic. It's up to 5 players fighting over planets, and whoever gets the most planets or gets to 5 planets first wins the game. Bunch of different alien powers. It innovated. It created the concept of asymmetrical player powers, player factions. It has negotiation. It's got like secret card play. It's got all kinds of wild stuff. Super innovative game from 1977. I think a lot of people know Cosmic Encounter. So if you want to know more about it, definitely take a look. If you've never played Cosmic, give it a shot. It's a great game. Anyway, so Eon's boxes. So the thin boxes, I'm going to go ahead and call those a 3 out of 5. They're a little flimsy, as many old boxes are. Honestly, a lot of old games have really flimsy boxes. This is no exception. But I like this. I like the size generally. They're pretty thin. They fit the components quite well. Again, Cosmic Encounter, all 9 expansions fit in there. And yeah, I think they're pretty good boxes. They're a little thin, like I mentioned. So something like Runes, it's very squished. Actually, Runes is super lightweight. It feels like there's nothing in here because it doesn't need a box this big. I think they just stuck with this box size for standardization purposes. So maybe Runes gets like a 2 out of 5, but the other ones I'm going to give a 3 out of 4.5 rather. A 3 out of 4.5. The big Cosmic box I will also give that a 3. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give that a 4 out of 4.5 for the big Cosmic box. Fits everything a little more comfortably. You don't have to really pack stuff in, and it feels a little more robust as well. So I also have... I actually collect Cosmic Encounter. So I have all of the editions of the game that you can see right here. So up next would be the Mayfair version of Cosmic. This came out in the 90s in an attempt to sort of collect all of the expansions from the Eon Cosmic Encounter and slap them into one box with an expansion as well. They changed some stuff in it. I think actually this version gets a bit of a bad rap. I do sort of like the changes they made in many cases. If, however, you were just looking to get an out-of-print game in the 90s, and this is like a box just having all of the out-of-print stuff, I understand why you'd be disappointed. But in kind of retrospect, I think it has some cool changes to it. The box I actually like. This is actually a pretty good box. This is also going to get a 4 out of 4.5. It is pretty robust. It's a good size. It is very similar to the Eon Cosmic box, just a bit thicker cardboard. Unfortunately, this one is going to lose out all over the place. This is the Avalon Hill version of Cosmic Encounter. This one came out in 2000, I think it is. Gutted Cosmic Encounter of basically everything that makes it fun. I will say this is the game, this version of Cosmic is the first one I played, and it's what really introduced me to modern board games. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for it. It has kind of weird, like very 2000s looking graphic design, which also, again, sort of nostalgic. But the box is kind of weird. It's like, it has an insert that doesn't work super well. I'm not exactly rating inserts specifically here. But the insert doesn't work terribly well. It's like, the box is kind of flimsy. It rips easily. This is going to get like a 2. This is going to get a 2 out of 4.5. It's just not an ideal box. And then the one that people know most of all is going to be the Fantasy Flight version of Cosmic Encounter. I have all the expansions in here. I'm not going to take it out entirely. It's a standard sort of Fantasy Flight square box, which I do like, actually. I think those are good boxes. Though, excuse me, my experience with them is they don't really hold up over time. This one is falling apart all over the place. It's taped, it's glued, it's got scratches. I said I wasn't going to take it out, but I am now. It's this is the original before they added aliens to the front. It's a good size and shape for a game box. The materials used though on these like mid 2000s Fantasy Flight boxes, no good, bud, no good at all. We're gonna give it a 2 also because again, shape, size, good, materials not good. I do sort of like the matte finish they go with, so that's gonna give it a 2. It's lucky it's not getting a 1, but it's getting a 2 out of 4.5. All right, so it's going to be kind of hard to see these in the corner, so I'm going to be kind of probably a little off camera here for this one. But here we have Dungeon Degenerates, The Hand of Doom. Very cool adventure game. It's sort of an RPG-ish sort of game. Really garish art, really vibrant and saturated. I'm a big fan of this art. I like the game a lot too. I've got everything for it. It is the same size as a Fantasy Flight box, roughly. It's maybe a little taller. But a big square. It's pretty robust. I think this box will survive. It's going to, where the Fantasy Flight box got a 2 out of 4.5, this is going to get a 3 out of 4.5. It's pretty good. This is an expansion box for it. Not everything fits in there, which is why it's only getting a 3 and not a 4. I have to fit a bunch of stuff in these extra expansion box. The expansion is actually going to get a 2 out of 4.5 because whereas this is like a gloss, the expansion is a matte finish, so it doesn't exactly match this. It's like close. But it's going to get a little worse score for that. Okay, so this is probably the biggest disparity of box to game. This is one of my favorite games. I did a video on this one talking about why I love this game so much. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out. This is Magic Realm. Magic Realm from Avalon Hill, an incredible game. One of the first like big giant open world sandbox titles. Tons of variability in the characters you can play as. So much that can happen in this game. I'm not going to talk much about it because, again, I have a video just gushing over this title. I love it. The box is awful. Avalon Hill made some really good boxes, as I'll talk about later. But this style of box, this like thin pizza box, oh my goodness, this is terrible. This is a classic 1 out of 4.5. This is a 1. It's not the worst box. I mean, I guess it is on this scale. It's the worst. It's 1 out of 4.5. It's no good at all. So this is like a 5 game and a 1 box. Almost the biggest disparity you can get. So this one's gonna be a little funny. It's this is what I keep Magic Realm stuff in also because this box sucks so much it doesn't even hold everything. This is not a box for any game that I have. This is actually it's a Hollenspiel. It's something Hollenspiel uses for some of their bigger boxes, like the Grass Crown uses a box this size. But Blue Panther is the company that makes it. They make it for other companies as well besides just Hollenspiel. I love this box. This is a great box. This would be a 5 out of 4.5. This right here, this style of box, great size, very, very, solid. But I can't, in all honesty, in good faith, rate it that I can't officially rate it anything because I don't have a game that uses it. This is something that's sort of a supplemental box for Magic Realm for me. Up next, we got Twilight Imperium. We got 2 versions of Twilight Imperium. We're going to start with the OG Twilight Imperium First Edition. This box sucks. It is caving in so many areas. It's really thin cardboard. Like just holding it here, I guess squeeze on it. I do have a kind of a fondness for this art. I understand it's maybe technically not great, but I have sort of an appreciation for it. I remember seeing this box back in the day and kind of being super interested in it, but I was only like 12 at the time. This is going to be, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say a 2 out of 4.5, even though I kind of like parts of the box. The quality is really low. So that's a 2 out of 4.5 for Twilight Imperium First Edition. I haven't played these editions, by the way. First Edition and what I'm taking out now is Second Edition, but I really endeavor to. Similar, this is a bit more robust of a box. It's a little big, in my opinion. It's funny. Nowadays, boxes are like giant, massive boxes that like take up entire shelves on their own. This is what I would have called a big, grand box circa like 1999, 2000. because it's a big ass game. So right, so it's got an accordingly big box. This box is better than the first edition, but not great. So we're gonna call this a 3 out of 4.5 for Twilight Imperium 2nd edition. If I can fit this back in there with one hand, there we go. The TI1 first edition, that box also just like falls over all the time. It sucks. It's almost a 1. It's a 2. I'll give it a 2, but it's lucky. So I forgot here, Carcassonne. I like this box. This is a good one. Carcassonne's a good game too. It's a classic tile laying game. It's got dust all over it here, but this is a 3. This is a 3. It's not spectacular, but it is a good box. You know what? No, this is a 4. This is a 4. It's actually this is an old version of the game. It's held up over time. Yeah, this is a 4. It's robust. It fits on a shelf nicely. Not too big, not too small. Carcassonne's a 4. Castles of Burgundy. It's a little bit larger than the Carcassonne box, so it's going to get knocked down to a 3. I favor small boxes. So this is going to be Castles of Burgundy, the first edition of it. Yeah, we're calling this a 3 out of 4.5 for that box. We've also got Agricola. Some of these are hard to take out. I've got Agricola down here, the Agricola box, very similar to Castles of Burgundy. Also going to call that a 3 out of 4.5 for OG Agricola, which don't know how easily you can see that. There are a few down here. I'm not going to actually pull all these out. I will pull out this one. This is Source of the Nile, the Discovery Games release of Source of the Nile. I think the year after this got picked up by Avalon Hill. This box blows. This is a 1 out of 4.5. It topples over. It's really thin. It's got kind of a cool texture on the front that I like. It's almost like alligator skin texture, which is neat. But yeah, it falls apart. It sucks. Not a good box. 1 out of 4.5 for Source of the Nile. Haven't played the game, but I've experienced the box, and I hope the game is better. Up next then, here we have a new game. This is a pretty new title. I got this somewhat recently. I've done a couple of videos on it on the channel, so check those out if you haven't. Did a playthrough and an unboxing. This is Cryptic Explorers. Now I'm struggling to lift this one a little bit with one hand, and that's going to lower the box score. Cryptic Explorers. Really heavy. Cool looking box. I like the art. I like the kind of matte gloss mix, the blackness of it. It doesn't hold everything properly, though. If you stick the expansion in here, too, it's a lot of lid lift. And that's going to knock it down. That's going to be like a 2, unfortunately. I love the game. Great game. One of my favorite recent games. But it's a 2. It doesn't hold all the supplemental stuff either, which is a knock against it. Here's the neoprene mats for it. Do not fit in this box. So, yeah. Sorry, Cryptic Explorers. Do better. For the box, it's gonna be hard to do much better for your game. You're a very good game. It's also, I just noticed a spider living in this pile of neoprene. So sorry, spider, for disrupting your home. Put these in here somewhere. It's a pain in the butt. Okay, up next is a big boy. We're actually gonna move these neoprenes because that's not gonna hold. Up next, we've got a big box, a big boy, sort of a modern classic, I would probably say. War of the Ring, 2nd edition. Very good game, 2-player asymmetric game where one player is the Fellowship trying to get the ring into Mount Doom and chuck it in there. The other playing as Sauron and his dark forces trying to blast some hobbits. Great game. Decent box. So-so box. It's big. It's big is my biggest complaint. It does hold everything, though, which is good. This is going to be a 3 out of 4.5. It's too big of a box, in my opinion, but there are bigger ones, and it holds everything. It's got cool art, too. So it's a 3. Go Kane, also a somewhat new game. Very sparse art, but it's kind of cool. I don't mind the art in the front. It's very simple. It looks like it says cocaine, which I understand is the idea, but I've had people just call it cocaine, not realizing this is supposed to be a G. And I'm going to say this is a 4. This is a hefty box. It's got a gloss to it that I don't love, but it is well put together. It holds everything. It's not too big for its britches. It's a 4. It's a 4 out of 4.5. So good job, Go Kane. Cool game, too. All right, so next we've got a pair of games down here that use the same sort of box, and that's Iberian Gauge and Irish Gauge hanging out next to it. I won't pull both of them out. Both very cool games from Amabel Holland. Very much recommend them. Good, simple, like train games that have a lot of kind of strategic choices that you can make. Also, tremendous box. This is a 4.5. This is basically this is up there with Splotter as far as top scale boxes. 4.5 out of 4.5. Iberian gauge, Irish gauge, two excellent boxes. Highly recommend getting those games, both for the game and for the box. Double whammy on that one, very good. And this double whammy if a whammy is good. It's a good whammy. What's an anti-whammy? I don't know. Whatever. It's a double anti-whammy. Travis Hill's Union Station. Good small box. Holds everything. Maybe too much room inside the box though. You could be even smaller. You can hear all that rustling around. Yeah, there's a lot of space in here, which is gonna take it down a small notch. This is gonna go from what would have been maybe a 4 to like a 3. This is a 3 out of a 4.5. So now we're getting into some junk. Another great game by Amabel Holland is Northern Pacific. Okay, tremendous game. Highly recommend it. This box, oh my goodness, is so huge. This could be a third of the size and still fit all the components. This box might have to be. Nah, it's a 1. This is a 1 out of 4.5 for the box. No good at all. Tremendous game, terrible box. That's like Magic Realm disparity almost. After Northern Pacific, we have another train game. Sorry you can't see my shelves down here super well. I'm sitting on a floor right now, so you're gonna have to deal with this. This is, again, we're hitting a lot of funny disparities here. Tremendous title, Age of Steam, but my goodness, this box is huge. Age of Steam's a great game. Heavy Cardboard's done a billion playthroughs of different maps. Check them out. They're tremendous game, a tremendous title. Tons of good maps, good train game. I've enjoyed every single play of this. Different player counts, different maps, great title. This box is so big. It's because it fits the maps in, but personally, I have my maps printed out on either paper or vinyl. The maps in here, for my personal collection, don't need them. I wish the box was so much smaller. Earlier editions are smaller boxes. This is huge. It's too big. It takes up too much shelf space. That's another 1. Another 1 out of 4.5. So Irish gauge, Iberian gauge, tremendous boxes. Northern Pacific Age of Steam, terrible boxes. Get out of here. Here we have Oath. Oath from Leader Games. Oof. Cole Worley, Kyle Farron. Cool game. I like Oath quite a bit. Haven't played it in a minute, but I do enjoy Oath. I did record a review. You can check that out on my channel. The box I'm really of two minds on. The box itself is okay. It's big, it's like War of the Ring size box. The box is okay. It could be smaller if it wasn't for the neoprene mat inside that takes up the entire top part of this box. I don't like neoprene generally for game maps. I don't think that they're very good. I prefer cardboard over cardboard. I actually prefer paper because I'll just slap some plexiglass over and it's great. This would be like a 3 out of 4.5, but because it also has the neoprene factor and that's making the box bigger than it has to be, all of like the inserts that are part of the base game, all that, blah, blah, blah. I don't like inserts. We're going to knock this down to a 2. I'm sorry to say a 2 out of 4.5 for Oath's box. Too big, and it's big because it had to make some concessions for components that I don't really like. However, we're hitting the cream of the crop here. Cole Worley struggled with Oath as far as the size of the box goes, where Cole Worley did not struggle with game quality or box. This one right here. PAX Premier 2nd Edition. Not only is it beautiful, not only does it play well, if you haven't played it, it's good. It's weird. It's a strange game if you haven't played other games in this PAX series. But it's a good one. It's sparsely available. Now and again, it comes back in print. It is really good, though. PAX Premier, good strategy game based on kind of an unusual time in history. The Great Game between Afghanistan, Russia, and the East India Company. Great game. A lot of interesting mechanics and systems in here. And boy, this is the Rolls Royce of boxes, ladies and gentlemen. This is a 5 out of 4.5. The second one after Khan, a 5 out of 4.5. It's robust. It's a good size. It allows you to either stick it on your shelf horizontally or vertically and have good looking art when you do it. It has inserts. It's got like a rolled up cloth map. Again, not my ideal situation, but the box makes it work. 5 out of 4.5. Better than the best. PAX Premier Second Edition box. I'm interested to see the John Company Second Edition box because it's the same sort of, again, much like Antiquity, it's the same sort of like height and width dimensions, but it's deeper. Don't know if I like it more or less. I'll probably like it less because I like smaller, thinner boxes in general. But so I trashed Avalon Hill earlier with this Magic Realm box. Let me untrash Avalon Hill as a company right now because we got Gunslinger. Gunslinger here is a cool game. It's a weird game. It's crunchy, but I think it's fun. My group didn't love it. I thought it was pretty fun. I want to play it more. Great box size. Avalon Hill's bookshelf boxes, so good. They don't have art on the bottom or on the top in some cases, which I don't like, but generally the size, the weight, the dimensions, the fact that it fits the components, it looks cool. They are uniform on the shelf. 4.5 out of 5 for that gun. 4.5 out of 4.5. 4.5 out of 4.5 for the Gunslinger box. I got mixed up there because PAX Premier got a 5 out of 4.5. This is a 4.5 out of 4.5. Top of the scale, best of the best. Pyramid Arcade. Keep all of my little pyramid pieces in here. They are just little like, I actually have some right here that I have to put away. They're just these like plastic pyramids that come in a bunch of different colors. They're hollow, and you can do all sorts of stuff with them. Stack them, angle them, point them, throw them, flick them. There are hundreds of games people have made for the Looney Pyramid system, and there are many good ones. Zendo is one of my favorites. Homeworlds is great. There's a bunch. Martian Chess, all sorts of things. Check them out. The Pyramid Arcade box, it's not great for storing the pyramids. As far as a box, you get the same score as your like Dungeon Degenerates, Fantasy Flight Squares. It's like a 3 out of 4.5. But because it doesn't store the pyramids well, it's sort of its intended like function. It's gonna maybe get knocked down to a 2 out of 4.5. So here I got a couple of older Avalon Hill games reprinted by Valley Games, and we're talking Republic of Rome first. Republic of Rome, I've also got Titan down here. Great box size. I'll say I'm a big fan of this box size. It feels good. It's got a matte finish, which I like. It fits everything. It doesn't have an unnecessary insert. This is a 4.5 out of 4.5. Also, the game is fantastic. Republic of Rome, one of my favorite games. Tremendous title. I've played it with a variety of scenarios, with a full complement of 6 players. I'm a big fan of Republic of Rome. I understand it's like an all-day obtuse thing, or it's going to end in like 15 minutes and you won't know until you're playing it. The box is great, though. It fits everything. It's a good shape. It's not a square. It is a rectangle, which I guess squares are rectangles, right? All squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. This is not a square, but it is a rectangle. It's a robust box. It's a good-looking box, good-feeling box, no nonsense insert. And then we have Titan, which is also from the same line from Valley Games, originally a Gorgon Star game, then more famously Avalon Hill. Titan is the Monster Slugathon game where you summon up a bunch of different fantasy monsters and go beat up other players summoning fantasy monsters. I have not yet played Titan. This version, this box, it's okay. It's the same dimensions as Republic of Rome, which is great. So it starts at 4.5. But it is a thinner material. It's a gloss, sort of, a semi-gloss on the cover. It tears and rips easily. I've had to glue it a bunch. It does have a decent insert in it that actually is sort of functional. So it started at 4.5, but it's going to get knocked down a couple pegs. We're going to put it at a 3 out of 4.5 for Titan. And then last item on this shelf is Mind Management, the Deluxe Edition. Very cool game, very cool hidden movement game, the only one I own. I was a big fan of Letters from Whitechapel, so ended up getting rid of it. Mind Management scratches a very similar itch. Big box, too many inserts in this. Holy cow, way too overproduced with the inserts. Sometimes I just want to stick stuff in a dang plastic bag and let it live in there. Don't have to worry about how it gets packed back up. Don't have to deal with taking the inserts out and organizing them, and sometimes the stuff spills out when I store it sideways. The box also, despite being huge, doesn't fully close as lid lift, and buddy, that's no good. That ain't good. It's a decent box, but it's sort of hamstrung a bit by some of the components and some of the stuff surrounding it. So we're gonna give that a 2. We're gonna go 2 out of 4.5 for that. I feel like it's my most common score right now. I don't like a lot of board game boxes. I think they're junk. So that is everything on this shelf. So why don't we go ahead? Zloop. Okay, so coming on over to this shelf now. We've got, starting here with Mage Knight. Haven't played Mage Knight yet. The box is very similar to like that Republic of Rome sort of size box, rectangle. Decent game, or a decent box. It has an insert, but you can take that out and just bag everything up. So we're gonna call this a 3 out of a 4.5. Pretty all right. Then we've got the Gale Force 9 reprint, the long-awaited reprint of Dune, Avalon Hill's Dune. Tremendous title. I love Dune. This box is pretty good. It's like the Fantasy Flight Square, but smaller, which is, again, I love small boxes. So we're going to call this a 4 out of 4.5. Really good. A little thin, a little cheap, but good size. Then here we've got Duel of Ages sticking out over here. This is not the full game. I actually have the full game in like a tackle box. Duel of Ages is a cool game. I like it. It's a good team game. You can do 1v1 or 2v2 or 3v3 or 4v4, which I like a lot. You have this whole cast of characters, like historical figures, science fiction characters, fantasy characters, like high school quarterbacks. There's all sorts of weird stuff in Duel of Ages. It's like people in a virtual reality system taking over their choice of historical or modern day like individuals and fighting as them in virtual reality. It's a very bizarre system, but very cool game. We'll bring it to the channel at some point. The box is junk. It's too flimsy. If you have the core game box, it's the expansion box. If you have the core game box, you can fit everything in the 2, but like it's just sort of chucked in there. I have a tackle box that fits most of these components. This stuff is really thin. It just feels like it's going to fall apart. It's like a 1. This is another 1 out of 4.5. No good. Then we have the greatest box art of all time, Attack Vector Tactical. You can sort of see that I'm having an issue here. It's falling out the bottom because this is a sleeve. This is a little paper sleeve, and it goes in this big box that is similar to like the Ferox or Trash Lords sort of mail like folding box. Really endearing art in how awkward it is, but boy does the box suck. It has a sleeve that slides around. It's too tall. It like doesn't fit on common shelves. The sleeve gets all dinged up and scratched, and it doesn't like comfortably fit over the box even. That's this whole shelf is a shelf of shame. That's a half. That's a half out of 4.5. It's like the bottom of the. It's the bottom. So if you have a barrel, if society sort of dictates that if you take everything that you know and throw it into a barrel to collect it, you put the things you like the least in the barrel first. That's why stuff is the bottom of the barrel, because the stuff you like the least goes in first. Stuff you like the best sits on the top. Attack Vector Tacticals box, and actually another box I'm going to be talking about in a minute. You put those down before you put the barrel down. That's like it's below the barrel. It's a half. That's why my barrel is 1 star to 4.5 stars. That's a half star. It's below the barrel. Okay, geez Louise, Attack Vector Tactical. Then here we have a game that is sort of near and dear to my heart because of the theme. Quest for Shangri-La. Insane Clown Posse presents The Quest for Shangri-La. This is a talisman clone, rare talisman clone. I don't listen to ICP. I don't listen to their music. I've heard like 2 songs. But something about their whole culture is fascinating to me. So I had to pick up this board game. It's not a great game, but the art and the commitment to their IP is tremendous. So I really am happy to have this. The box is junk. It's too big. It's the Fantasy Flight Square, but it's upped by like 15-20% in size. So it doesn't fit on shelves. It's also really thin. It's like flimsy. That's a 1. That's a 1 out of 4.5. It looks like gold compared to Attack Vector Tactical, but it's a 1. And then we have Oceans. Great game. Oceans is a great game. This box is also below the bottom of the barrel. This is right there with Attack Vector Tactical. This is a half star out of 4.5. It's not only is it big, it's like 2 times the size it needs to be to fit the components, if not bigger. But also, you see you have art on the front here. The back also just has art, like without any sort of info. The info is all printed on like the sides, which is weird. It looks strange on a shelf. Like there's just no good way to display it. It's too big to fit on shelves. It's too big to hold the components. Oh, come on, buddy. What are you doing? Jeez Louise, you're embarrassing me. It's bad box, half star, half of a star for that one. Oceans is a tremendous game. Play Oceans. This box though is no good. They actually redid the box for recent printings because it's such a junk box. Here I have a bunch of small box games. So I kind of, these are going to get a leg up just because they're small. Fox in the Forest, cool 2-player trick-taking game. I play this with my wife. Trick takers are cool. They're sort of in right now, and Fox in the Forest is a fun little 2-player one that works pretty well. The box, it's a little big for the components inside. It's going to get like a 2 out of 4.5 for that box. Skull King, also a trick taker. I got a lot of trick takers in here. Skull King, trick taking game, plays more than 2 players. It's like I think it plays it to 8 or something. Yeah, 2 to 8 players. 8's maybe too many. 2 is too few. Maybe like 3 to 5, 3 to 6. Ideally. Good box, actually. Good size. There's not much space in here. It has like a score pad. It's got everything you need right here, basically. You need a supply pencil. But Grandpa back on the back saying, "What's up?" Good box. This is a 4. A 4 out of 4.5 for Skull King. Good job, Skull King. Wizard. Skull King is based on Wizard. This is the German version. It's a nice thin box. Fits everything inside. It's basically the Skull King box without any sort of insert. I love this box. Wizard's a good game too. Also, you want to play it with maybe 4 or 5 people. Box is great. This is a 4.5. Sorry, Skull King, you got a new king in town. Wizard King. It's a 4.5 out of 4.5 for Wizard King. Best score you can get. Oink games. I got 2 of them. I got Startups and Scouts. Scouts kind of the new hotness, and Startups is kind of an older game, a couple of years old, but it's a good one. Both these games are good. I'd recommend both actually to basically anyone. Who are you? You should play these. They're good games. The boxes, Oink boxes are all right. They're small, which is kind of cute, but it can be hard to fit everything back in the case of Startups especially. You gotta like pack it up in just the right way. So we're gonna give Oink boxes as a rule like a 3. They're small, which is nice, but sometimes they're too small for their own good. What do we have here? Gate. Gate is a solitaire game from Jason Glover, and I think Gate is a cool game. You can pick it up for, I think it was like $15, $15, something like that, on Game Crafter. It's got cool art. It's got a cool little box that is like a little Altoids tin. Everything sort of fits in here. You know, it's about the size of an Altoids tin. Stuff has to fit in a specific way, which I've screwed up now, one hand opening this. But it does fit and it does close properly, I swear. It's a cool box. I'll give it like a 3, just because, again, you have to pack stuff up in a sort of exact manner to get it all to fit, which I am often not a big fan of. Fan of games that are like, if you want to make this work, you better educate yourself. I don't want to. Then we've got a game that I can't really rate. I haven't played it yet, and I don't think this is the original box. This is Virtual. Probably my rarest game, actually. But I don't think this is the original box for Virtual, because there's it comes with a little map as well that doesn't fit in here. So I don't think that's how it originally got packed up. Hive. People I think generally know Hive, a 2-player abstract game. Very, very good game. It also comes in a cardboard box, but having this kind of nylon bag in a box seemed silly, so I threw the box out. We pack this up when we go camping, when we go out. Works well. Hive's a great game. The package works well for that purpose. It does not store well. It's also really scratched up and dented up. This is like a 2, I think, probably like a 2 out of 5, 2 out of 4.5. Lots. It's an alright game. It's a cute idea. And this is just like a box from Michael's that got Lots stamped on the front. So this is gonna be like a 2. Also, it fits everything, which is fine, but it's very generic. It feels like a print and play. But no 1. We're gonna knock that down to a 1. A 1 out of 4.5. Then we've got The Crew, Mission Deep Sea, tremendous title, great trick-taking game, co-op trick-taking game. The box is a little big maybe for my liking. I wish it was like Skull King sized. So this is gonna get a 2 out of a 4.5. Here we have another Eon game. This is a reprint of an Eon game. I'd like to get the original, but this is Hoax, reprinted by Fantasy Flight in a tiny little box. This is actually a bad box, though. Oh my gosh, it's tiny, which is great. Oh my goodness, it could be a quarter of the size and fit everything. There's like nothing in here, kind of like Runes. There's like nothing in here. This is like a 2, maybe a 1 even, just because it's too big. If it's a tiny box, that's still too big. We'll give it a 2 out of 4.5 for Hoax. Like the original Coup, by the way. This is like from the 80s, 82, I think. And it's very similar to Coup, the more recent, like, you have a couple of characters and you lie about which ones you are to take special actions. Hoax is that, but from the 80s. Then we've got the Grizzled. This is actually the expansion box for the Grizzled that I've got here, because it is the same size as the original, but everything fits in here. And I think I liked the art of this one better or something. I don't remember. But the Grizzled is a pretty good box. Fits the expansion. There's a little bit of room in there, but not too much. We'll give this I'll give it a 4. A 4 out of 4.5. Pretty good. Then we've got the original Hive, which has a box. Fits everything very comfortably. This will get a 3. A 3 out of 4.5. Not too bad. Okay, so here's the next shelf of games. Now these are organized in some way. I have all of my Sierra Madre games here. I have all of my Emperors of Eternal Evil Blast City games up here. Okay, so this is organized to some degree. So let's see. Here we have, start with Blast City. We got San Quentin Kings. This is again just sort of a generic box with a sticker slapped on the front and a stamp on the side. It fits everything all right. The game is okay. And the box is not, I mean, it's okay. It is similar to like Hollenspiel boxes, sort of, which I do like. It's a little thin. I don't know. We'll give this like a 3. Like a good 3 out of 4.5 for San Quentin King box. Then we've got After Pablo. After Pablo here. Too big for the components, but the box size is like the Splotter box size, which if you remember got like a 4.5 out of 4.5. We're going to give this a 4 because it could be smaller for the components that requires the box. This is not an official box, so I'm not going to talk about it. Cave Evil. Cave Evil is, again, good box size, same as like After Pablo. It doesn't really fit everything too well, though. It packs up a little too tight. So we're going to give the Cave Evil box. The art is very cool, though. We're going to give this like a 3. A 3. You know what? No, we'll give it a 4 as well. We'll give it a 4 as well. It's sort of the opposite problem as After Pablo compared to the Splotter boxes, so good general size. Mushroom Eaters. Mushroom Eaters is a great box and also a game that I enjoy. Mushroom Eaters fits everything exactly right. It's got cool, different art on all the sides, which I like. And we're going to give this a 4.5. A 4.5 out of 5 for the box for Mushroom Eaters. Psycho Raiders See Evil, the magazine games that come in magazines. I made these custom boxes for them. I made like VHS tape boxes for these two. Can't officially rate them because they're not official boxes. War Cults. War Cults, a sort of spin-off of Cave Evil. Very cool art. Better art on the front than Cave Evil, I think. However, this box blows. This box is a pile of junk. It's a cute idea, it opens up, and then you have like a little kind of inlay here where everything can sit. I have my Cave Evil stuff in a separate package. But boy, it like doesn't really fit very well. Stuff falls out the bottom because there's just like a gap. There's like a hole on the bottom here, big old gap that you can sort of see through. That stuff just sort of falls out of. It's I don't know what they were thinking with that one. This is a half star. This is another bottom of the barrel pile of junk. And these are not official boxes either, so I can't really talk about them. Okay, so here's another mailer. This is now into the Sierra Madre Games collection. Here's a mailer. This is old. This is Insecta First Edition, packed in an old mailer. Pops open like that, and this sort of folds open, and you have all the components hiding away in there. Bad box. This is like printed on an inkjet. Also, it got wet at some point before I had it, and so the ink is like smeared. This is a half star also. Insect is a fun game, even the first edition. Half star for the box. Barely counts the box. It's endearing because it sort of shows the roots of like, Phil Eklund and whatever you think about Phil Eklund, which there's a lot to think about Phil Eklund that I probably think about. But it's endearing that his start in board gamings was very DIY, and he really just wanted to get stuff done, so he managed to make it happen. Here's Lords of the Sierra Madre 2nd edition from Decision Games. I like the Lords series. I think it's a cool series. I understand why no one would make those games anymore, but I enjoy playing them now and again. The Lords 2nd edition box, as ugly as the front is, the actual like quality of the box and the size and the shape and all that is pretty good. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 3.5, or out of a 4.5. So these next few, these were all magazine games, and I have them packaged in boxes. I can't rate them really. You got Insecta 2nd edition. You've got Rocket Flight, Lords of the Renaissance, and Luftschiff. These 4 here. I don't have spine labels on these yet. Cool games. They came in in baggies, so I can't. I mean, for as far as boxes go, they don't have boxes. A game that does have a box, American Megafauna. Very cool game. The first in the like kind of BIOS series, basically, became BIOS Megafauna, and then BIOS Megafauna 2nd edition later. American Megafauna is the original. This is probably the worst box I own. This is a half. This is a half out of 4.5. It's like an old PC game box. I had a tape with several layers of tape. I had to tape the bottom up because otherwise the components just fall out the bottom. It's really flimsy. You see it's getting crushed on all these corners. No good. Cool art. It's got a back. It's kind of cute. Prehistory, ecology, catastrophes, chimeras. But the box quality itself, terrible, awful, junk. Complete and utter junk. I hate it. I mean, I know I've been sort of very cavalier in my calling boxes junk, but you know what? Some of them are junk. I can't even put this one back on the shelf because it's like bending. Come on, buddy. All right. Then we have the reprint of The Artifact from Print and Play Games, Print and Play Productions. Last Frontier, The Artifact. This is a big-ass box. It's got a ton of wooden components in it. It's really heavy. I kind of like the box, though. It's a good box. I haven't played the game. It's a weird game of it's like semi-role-playing. It requires a game master. And at some point, I want to play it. I don't know if it'll be on the channel or not because it's kind of a weird thing, but maybe if I can find the right people, we'll do it. The box is good, though. Good box. Solid box. Origins. How We Became Human, the first one. I hate that we've been having a string of junk. This is another half star out of 4.5. This is a giant ass box. Doesn't fit on shelves. The components take up like a little corner. The reason, if I remember right, the reason the box is so big is because Phil Eklund, like the company that made the boxes, had this size on like clearance or something. They had a bunch of extras. So Phil said, yeah, that's the cheapest. Let me do that. I believe this was Sierra Madre Games' first like hard boxed game. The game is cool. I actually like Origins first edition. It's a very fun game. I'm very happy to own it. It's great as a solitaire game. The box is, I regret owning it because of the box. It's just so big. It doesn't fit anywhere. Like this shelf became my Sierra Madre Games shelf because it would fit on here. This was the deciding factor. It does not fit on a Calyx shelf. So half star on Origins first. So it's 3 half stars actually. Insecta, American Megafauna, and Origins, all terrible. We have Erosion here. It comes in a tiny little plastic clamshell. 2. I'll give us a 2 out of 4.5. Erosion is kind of fun. It's like almost a like Glory to Rome's almost like esque game in some ways. About building mountains. And the clamshell is chintzy, but it does fit all the cards like exactly, so whatever, it's fine. 2, we'll give it. The original High Frontier box. This is actually a pretty good box. The original High Frontier and the expansion both fit in this box like perfectly. It is like to the millimeter fit completely closed in here. So you don't sleeve your cards, they won't fit. But we'll give this box, just because of it's really good size actually, I'd love to have more boxes like this. This is going to get a 4. A 4.5. You know what? We're going 4.5 on the High Frontier box because it is really small and it fits perfectly. It fits what it needs to. And I would love, okay, the more I look at this box and think about it, the more I'm loving on it. We're going to call this actually, I'm going all the way. This is a 5 out of 4.5. This beats the scales. This is greater than great. 5 out of 4.5 for the original High Frontier. Love it. It is a really good box. It's very sturdy. It's a good size. It fits wherever you need to put it. It's tremendous. Very similar, actually, the BIOS Megafauna First Edition box. It's a really similar size to the High Frontier box, but slightly taller, which is going to knock it down to a 4.5. But it is a really good box. This is also my favorite version of the Megafauna series. First edition, it's simple enough to kind of quickly get into and play, and I think does a pretty good job of modeling what it's trying to model, and while also being a fun game. So, Megafauna First Edition, good game, good box, great stuff. Pax Porphyriana, the collector's edition or special edition. I don't have the original small box. This box I don't like. Too big. It is only this big because of the board inside that you don't even use. I don't even use the board. I don't like to use the board when I play this game. So the box is too big. The game is great. Porphyriana is a really cool Pax game I've been getting more into lately. The box is too big. 2 out of 4.5 for this box. Too big. Come on, man. Small. Don't give me that. It feels like you had extras left over from Megafauna Second Edition or vice versa. Here we go. This is the real deal. PAX Premier First Edition. The little guy. The little baby. Cool game. Very different, actually, from the Second Edition. I like having both. And this box is a pretty good size. It's a pretty good size. Good quality. It fits everything. It does not, however, fit the expansion. And with the expansion, it bloats it up. Blah, blah, blah. But if I have the expansion, it doesn't fit in here. Otherwise, a good-sized box, I'd go for like a 3 out of 4.5 on this one. You know what? No, 4. A 4 out of 4.5. It could be better if it fit the expansion comfortably. Then we've got same box, BIOS Genesis, same box size as Premier. A 4. We're going 4 out of 4.5. BIOS Genesis, also a pretty fun game. Very strange. One of the more complicated, actually, Sierra Madre games, I'd say. Neanderthal, same box as Premier and Genesis. Neanderthal is also a neat game, 3-player game, good solo game. We're going to go 4 on this one as well. So Sierra Madre has really turned it around. They've gone from having like half-star boxes to 4-star boxes. So that's nice. And then they screwed it up. Okay, they screwed it up then. Not immediately after, because this isn't exactly chronological with this edition. But Greenland 3rd edition. It's the same general dimensions as Premier and Neanderthal and all that, except it's deeper. It's like a taller box. I don't like the tall box. Sorry. This is getting knocked down to a 3. Good dimensions otherwise, good size, good feel. Not a lot of room in there. But it's still, generally speaking, I don't like the bigness of it. It feels bloated. I understand, again, that the game needs it. I looking though at like BIOS, looking at this sucker. Come on, man, this is a good size box right here. This is a great size box. Say what you will about Phil Eklund. That's a good size box. There's a lot you can say about Phil Eklund. However, the best of the best, both in terms of game, PAX game and PAX box, PAX Renaissance First Edition. This is the dream. This is, again, the Rolls Royce of game boxes. Great size, great feel, great quality, fits the components. Oh my goodness, it's all of it, and it's a tremendous game on top of it. 5 out of 4.5 stars for PAX Renaissance. For PAX Renaissance First Edition, 5 out of 4.5 stars. This is a winner. Great game too. Then we've got back to these silly long boxes. John Company First Edition. Good game. I like me some John Company. Interested in the second one when it comes out soon. I don't like the long box. It's like a shoebox. It's I don't know. It's okay. Maybe a bit better with John Company because there's more stuff in here than PAX Premier or PAX Porphyriana. It just, I don't know. There's something about that size I don't like. We're gonna give that a 3. We'll give it a bit more, I think, than I gave Porphyriana. Then we've got some biggies. So we've got a giant box here, a hefty boy. We've got High Frontier 3rd Edition, a big boy. This is like a thicker version of the Fantasy Flight Square. Fits everything. Very heavy box. Oh my goodness. I'm going to pull something holding this one up. It's not bad. Great game. A 3, we'll say. A 3 out of a 4.5 because the bottom is sort of like feels, I don't know, something about the bottom of this. It feels unsecure. Maybe it's a 4. Maybe it's a 4, actually. We're going to go up a notch from a 3 to a 4 for High Frontier 3rd edition. So this is a double whammy again, going back to that Greenland. This is sort of the small box size that Ion Games has settled on. Pax Emancipation, also an okay game. That thick box hasn't grown on me, really. And double whammy, Pax Transhumanity, also a good game. I like Pax Transhumanity. Box, so something about the box size compared to those old ones that I just don't like. I understand there's more stuff in here. I get it. You need to get bigger box, but I look at that old one and I'm just dreaming about it. You know what I mean? Come on, it's a great box. Both these packs are going to get a 3. I think it's the same. I give Greenland a 3. 3 out of 4.5. High Frontier, the 4th edition. This is actually smaller than 3rd edition, and I believe has more stuff in it. However, the box feels a little thinner, a little cheaper. It'll score a 4. This is one of my favorite games of all time. This is a top tier game, High Frontier 4th edition. Really good. Very much recommend it. The box is also good. A 4 out of 4.5 for the box. Really good box. Really good game. Highly recommended. It fits the expansion stuff. Come on, can't ask for a whole lot more. It's a thin box though. Again, I was saying the 3rd edition felt like the bottom was busting. I was mistaking it actually for this 4th one. The 4th one I squeeze and just like my fingers sink into it, which is not ideal. Certainly not a good thing. And then we've got two more stuff down here. And these aren't going to score well. I'm going to give you a little spoiler warning right now. Not going to score well. We've got, going from those baby-sized PAX games to the big PAX Viking. PAX Viking's an okay game. I'm going to actually do a review of all the PAX games at some point. This box is huge. It's too big. It's bigger than the High Frontier box, and it feels like it has less in it. The insert, I don't like inserts in games. This insert doesn't work well. It's chunky. This is a 2 box. Again, also kind of thin, like the High Frontier one. This is a 2. It's too big. 2 out of 4.5. The game is all right. The box is not. And finally, PAX Renaissance 2nd Edition. We go from the Rolls Royce of boxes to something that's a little too big, a little too bloated. PAX Renaissance 2nd Edition. It doesn't need to be this way, man. You've seen the 1st edition. This has basically the same stuff in it, except it has a cardboard map now instead of just card map. It's too big. Just too big. That's it. Too big, 2. This goes from a 5 out of 4.5 to a 2 out of 4.5. Come on. What kind of progress is that? Good game, though. The game is as good as ever. And actually, the art style of this one has grown on me, too. The 2nd edition is slowly becoming the version I prefer to play over the 1st edition. But the box, I got to make a new box for the 2nd edition and throw the map out. So the only game here, that's all my Sierra Madre stuff that I want to talk about. Some of them are like this. This is like a Luftschiff expansion, a third-party expansion. It's in a bag. Can't really review that. The only game over here on this shelf that I haven't spoken about is Roads and Boats, which is a Splotter game. I don't want to pull it down because it's big and kind of in a weird spot. It's giant. It's huge. It's like this tall. I know that doesn't mean anything to you from this perspective. It's very big. It's really flimsy. Roads and Boats box is bad. We'll call it a 2. I'll call it 1. Come on, man. Call it 1. A 1 out of 4.5 for Roads and Boats, which is up here. I'm not even going to show it. I can't. I like the art of Roads and Boats, though. The box size, though, it's flimsy. It's weird. Not into it. Not at all. So it's almost everything. I just have some Wargames left. So let's move over to those Wargames. All right. Here we got some Wargames, last shelf to deal with. So we're going to start out with a game from my wife's childhood, Herd Your Horses. This is a game where you play as a bunch of horses running around doing various missions. Very classic kind of box style, almost Monopoly-esque, but a little shorter. This is like a 2. It's not great. It's very thin. I don't like these long boxes. So we're going to call this a 2 out of 4.5. A classic GMT kind of thick box. Pericles, Mark Herman. Have not played it. I really want to, though. It's a 4-player. It's a 4-player game where you have 2 people on the Athens side, 2 people on the Sparta side, and they are competing. The teams are competing against each other in one phase, and then the players on each team are competing against each other kind of inside their own faction in another phase. Seems very interesting, very cool. I love these GMT boxes. They're a little glossy, which I don't like, but the quality of construction, the size, the dimensions, Good stuff. We're going to call this a 4 out of 4.5. A more classic, this is an older GMT box, Paths of Glory. This is less glossy, and it's also thinner, smaller GMT box. Paths of Glory is a real fun card-driven game, card-driven war game that I enjoy playing a lot, actually. I haven't played it in a little bit, but I would like to get back to it. Great box. If Pericles is a 4 out of 4.5, this is a 4.5 out of 4.5 because it's smaller. Fits everything great. Love those boxes. This box is not a good box. It's also very damaged. If you've watched my Campaign for North Africa video, you've seen this one because it's Campaign for North Africa. I swear it is. You can't really tell because the box is so worn, but it's just too big. Much like Campaign for North Africa itself, this is just too big. It's thin. It's a big old SPI box. This is going to get a 2. The box objectively gets, I'm going to say, a 2 out of 4.5, but this box specifically gets a 5 out of 4.5 because it weathered the storm and protected all the components inside. So good job. You've earned your rest, but you were designed badly. We've got Vietnam from Victory Games, also a very damaged box. It's basically the same as the GMT one, so this is also a 4.5. Very, actually it's a little thinner. We're actually going to call this a 4 because it's a bit thinner. It's caved in some ways. Doesn't hold up as well as the GMT ones. Then down here, pull some of this stuff out because I got to do that to get out. Fields of Fire, another GMT one. This is a glossy version of that box. So this is going to be, because I don't like the gloss as much, this is going to get a 4 out of 4.5 just because the gloss is not to my taste. Cool game. Very good solo game. Very hard to learn. One of the hardest games I've ever learned. And all the components, actually, no, and for Fields of Fire specifically, all the components don't comfortably fit if you sleeve your cards, which I did. So this is actually going to get knocked down to a 3 from a 4. Just because that's all the stuff I was pulling out before our Fields of Fire bits. So then we've got a couple more GMT games. We've got Comancheria. Great box, still a 4.5 box. Haven't played this one yet for the game. Solitaire game where he plays the Comanche Empire. And very good box, though. Very excellent box. 4.5. Beautiful. 4.5 out of 4.5. Does not get better than that. Then you've got, and that's an old style box of GMTs. It is not glossy, whereas now Navajo Wars, which I have played and do enjoy. It's another solitaire game from the same designer. Same style of box, but it's glossy. So I don't like the gloss. Sorry, I got to knock it down to a 4. 4 out of 4.5, almost top of the pops for that box from Navajo Wars. I also don't like, I don't like GMT games. One, they have the barcode on the bottom of the box, so I got to always put it in that side to get it to look right on my shelf. Otherwise, I got a barcode sticking out, and I don't like that. Don't like that barcode situation. Empire of the Sun. This is the big boy, the big box edition. Haven't played it yet. Box, again, same as Pericles. We're going to give that a 4 out of 4.5. Big, which is nice. I actually kind of like the size of that for this sort of game. It's still good dimensions, though, glossy. Unconditional Surrender. Very cool, actually surprisingly playable, giant epic World War II game. Same sort of box as Comancheria, so we're giving this a 4.5. Congratulations, Unconditional Surrender. You do good. You're a good game. You're a good box. You're a great box, actually. Best of the best. Then we've got Texas Arrows. This is actually an expansion for Band of Brothers, but I have all of my Band of Brothers stuff in this box. And it's okay. It peels in some weird areas from Worthington. It peels in some weird areas, so it doesn't really have the durability. Decent size, though. So if it didn't have the peeling problems, this would be a 4.5 out of 4.5. We're going to call it a 4 out of 4.5, though. The game is really good. It's a good 2-player kind of tactical skirmish game. Very, very fun. Very simple to get into. Good, suppression rules. Good Band of Brothers. I very much recommend Band of Brothers. A new version just came out, too. A new expansion, I think. I don't remember if the new one is standalone or if it's just an expansion. The Old Breed, I think, or is that might be the Fields of Fire expansion or a second game. Whatever. There's a new Band of Brothers game. It's cool. Zimby Mojo from Devious Weasel Games. Very Fantasy Flight Square style of box. Decent game. It didn't really grab me. Zimby Mojo as a game did not grab me too much. I'd like to give it another shot before I get rid of it, but I don't know that it's going to stick around. Good box, though. It's like the Fantasy Flight Square, but thinner. So we're going to call that a 4. We're hitting some good ones over here. 4 out of 4.5 for Zimby Mojo. Way Out West, I haven't played it. This is a, what's his name game? Martin Wallace. Box is okay. There's a texture to it I don't like. It also, I don't know. It feels a little thin. We're going to call this a 3. A 3 out of 4.5 for Way Out West. Before I get to this one, we're going to talk about some other games. We got Hollandspiel. So I've got all my Hollandspiel games over here. Meltwater, This Guilty Land, An Infamous Traffic, With It or On It, Dinosaur Table Battles, Field of the Cloth of Gold, The Vote, Dual Gauge, Westward Rails, and Nicaea. And then I have some of the card games as well that I hadn't mentioned, like Toledo War and Reign of Witches, like that sort of thing. Those don't come in boxes. These are good boxes. I like these boxes a pretty good amount. They are my go-to for print and plays. I mentioned I boxed some Sierra Madre titles and some other things over there. Those are with blank, like Hollandspiel style boxes. They're good boxes. They are very uniform, which I like. They fit components well. They don't always close well. Sometimes the lids sort of bow out. So generally speaking, I'm going to call these boxes a 3 out of 4.5. You know what? We'll knock it up to a 4. A 4 out of 4.5 for the Hollandspiel style of box. All right, so the last one to talk about now is actually almost like the impetus for making this video, because I was getting so incensed with this box. This is a half star. If I could go lower, I'm legally, I cannot go lower than a half star. That's already outside of the legal limits, to be honest, of my 1 to 4.5. Half star is already outside of it. We've seen it a few times, though. And that's Nemesis. Nemesis is a game. It's okay. I don't hate Nemesis. I don't love Nemesis as a game. I think it is endemic a little of what I don't like about modern games in a lot of ways. Too much stuff, too many bits, too many bobs. The whole, oh, is it a game? Is it not a game? Yeah, it's a game. Of course, yes, it's a game. That's not my argument. Too many discrete cards and systems and mechanics. I don't like it. It just does not do it for me. And the box is terrible. Oh my goodness. First of all, look how big this is. Look at the size of this sucker. Oh, this is a Moby Dick box right here. This is your white whale. Bigger maybe. And it's just a giant square. And not only that, the reason it is just a big ass square is because it's got a billion miniatures in there that need their inserts to protect them. The actual like gameplay relevant sort of stuff in here, if you replace the miniatures with just cubes, which I've thought about. Actually, I didn't mention it. My War of the Ring set, I did replace the miniatures with cubes. Much better. Nemesis, if you did that, this box could be the size of Zimby Mojo. It could be a reasonably sized box. Instead, it's this giant square with layers of inserts because it's got to hold all of these miniatures. And all of the plastic pieces are these custom style, like, design that are bigger than they need to be. And so they also take up more space in there. Everything has to have its own little, vac tray insert area. Everything has to get packed up so exactly. And the box takes up, if you're using Calyx shelves, it takes up half your Calyx shelf. It's ridiculous. It's impossible to travel with. Also, not only that, the insert doesn't even hold everything that well. The insert, parts of it pop out. Everything has to get put back in such an exact way. There's too much stuff in here. It doesn't hold the expansions. The dang Void Seeders expansion is also, it's the size of a dang game box, and it's just like a dozen miniatures in there. It's nonsense. That's a half star if I've ever seen a half star. I hate that game boxes have gotten so huge and gotten so awkwardly shaped, and it's just madness. It frustrates me so much. I love small boxes, as I've mentioned. I like stuff that easily fits on shelves, easily goes places, transports. There's just so many titles that aren't that anymore. And Nemesis is emblematic of my feeling. I think I said endemic before. Emblematic. Anyway, that's my collection. That's the video. And I have a Crokinole board too that doesn't have a box, but Crokinole's a great game. So that's the end. Goodbye.